Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel AgriAddict. As you all know, we are providing online courses for 4 major subject groups including plant science, physical science, agronomy and entomology, and complete mock test bundle for 6 major subject groups including plant science, physical science, agronomy, entomology, horticulture as well as social sciences, which will be really helpful for your competitive examinations preparations including ICAR, JRF, SRF, CUET and other agriculture related examinations. Thanks a lot for the huge responses for the previous video. I am your mentor Ajay Antosoi. I have completed my undergraduation from College of Agriculture Padanakkad, Kerala Agricultural University. I did my masters in the subject of agricultural economics from College of Agriculture Rajendra Nagar, PJTSAU, Hyderabad, and currently I am pursuing my PhD in agricultural economics in Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. In the year of 2021, I have secured All India rank 27th in the ICAR JRF examination and 4th rank in the ICAR SRF examination in the year of 2023, and in the same year I have qualified ASRB net also. Welcome to the world of economics. Today we will be dealing with the basic concepts in economics. If you really like our content, please like, comment, share and subscribe our YouTube channel AgriAddict. What is a good and what is a service? A good is nothing. Anything which satisfies a human want can be considered as a good. So if a commodity is said to be called a good, it has to be follow some basic characteristics. First one is it has to be a material object. Second characteristic is it should be a tangible object. And it should result in the ownership of the commodity. Ownership. So any material object which is tangible, and if it is resulting in the ownership as well as it is satisfying a human want, then that commodity can be considered as a good. Tangibility is nothing but if we can feel a commodity, if we can touch a commodity, if we can see a commodity, then that commodity is tangible. So a good is nothing which satisfies a commodity which satisfies a human want, which will be a material object, which will be tangible in nature and which will be resulting in the ownership. For example, agricultural commodities like rice, wheat, corn, maize, everything, machineries, then pen, paper, chair, everything, cloth, these comes under, these can be considered as the examples for good. What is a service? Any act or performance that one party can offer to another can be considered as service. What is the difference between good and service? Service will be non-material in nature. It will be an intangible object. Then it will be varying from one person to another. It will be perishable, and it is inseparable from the person. So any act or performance that one party can offer to another, which will be a non-material aspect. So because we cannot feel it, we cannot touch it, so it will be intangible. It is varying from one person to another person. It is perishable because if a service is not availed at a single point of time, then that service will be lost forever, right? So it is perishable, and it is inseparable from the person because a party can be because a doctor can use his skill of surgery in order to cure a patient, right? So but it cannot be, that skill cannot be transferred from the doctor to another person, so it is inseparable. So any act or performance that one party can offer to another person, it will be non-material, intangible, variable, perishable and inseparable, then it can be considered as a service. So those are the basic concepts regarding goods as well as services. And we are going to classify the goods based on the supply. The goods are classified into two, that is economic goods as well as free good. What is an economic good? Economic goods are those goods which are produced through human efforts and are to be purchased at a given price. Why we have to pay price for an economic good? Because it will be having scarcity. It will be really scarce in the nature. So because of its supply is less than the demand, we have to pay the price. It will be produced through human efforts, and since its supply is less than the demand, everyone won't be having the opportunity to consume it. So those persons who want to use the economic good, they have to purchase it on a price because scarcity is there, and it is having value in use and value in exchange. Value in use nothing but the utility derived by the person while using the commodity, and value in exchange is nothing but if the commodity is transferred from one person to another via buying and selling, then it has to be giving some value, or it has to be purchased at a price. So if I am having a commodity with me and if I am selling this to one person, another person, then there is a value in exchange. So economic good is having both value in use and value in exchange. For example, buildings, machinery and furniture, those are produced through human efforts. It has to be purchased at a given price. Its supply is less than demand because it is scarce in the nature, and it is having value in use while I am using, and if I am transferring to another person, it is having a value in exchange. Coming to free goods, what is the difference between economic good and free good? Free goods are nothing but the free gifts of nature. For example, see, water, air, sunshine, everything comes under free goods because they are abundant in nature. We don't have to procure it from one person. We don't have to pay the price because its supply is more than that of its demand, which is demanded by the consumer. So supply is more than the demand. So economic goods is supply is less than demand. Here supply is more than demand, and they have value in use. While I am using the water, value in use existing, but there is no value in exchange. If I am living in a water abundant area, anyone who can access the farm ponds or river or anything, they can get the water, right? So there is no value in exchange. If I am selling the water in a water abundant area, I won't be getting any prices for that. So they are having value in use. When I am using, I am deriving some utility from that, but there is no value in exchange. Can a good can be economic good as well as a free good? Yes, it can be, because see, water is a commodity. It is a free good. It is a free gift of nature when I am living in an area where water is really abundant. But when I am moving to a place where water is really scarce, then I have to purchase water at a given price, right? So water can be an economic good where water is not abundant, or where the supply of water is less than demand. So supply and demand are the basic characteristics which distinguish between economic goods and free goods. In economic goods, supply is less than demand, or that good will be scarce in the nature, where free goods are free gift of nature, abundant, so supply is greater than demand. I hope you got the concept. Based on the transferability, Marshall, recall that Marshall has given the welfare definition of economics. Welfare definition of economics. So Marshall has classified the goods based on the transferability. Goods can be classified into external goods and internal goods. External goods are in turn classified into material goods and personal goods, and material goods again classified into non-transferable goods and transferable goods. So goods are material, external, material, transferable goods are there. External, material, non-transferable goods are there. External is nothing but it will be external to the person. Internal means it will be inherent with the person. So external, material means it can be touched. So external, material, transferable goods. What are the examples? Anything, table, chair, laptop, pen, book, everything comes under external, material, transferable goods. They can be touched. I can transfer to one person to another person. There are some goods which are external, material and non-transferable goods. They are material objects, but we cannot transfer it from one person to another because there won't be any utility if I am transferring that material good to another person. What are all the examples? Example, my degree certificate or my driving license. So if they are material objects, but if I am transferring my degree certificate or driving license to another person, there is no utility, right? They cannot use my degree certificate or driving license, yet they are external to person and material objects, so that they are material non-transferable goods. Coming to the internal non-transferable goods, what are all the internal non-transferable goods? See, our friendship, right? We cannot transfer our friendship, our self-confidence, our courage, or our skills, the teaching skills or services provided by the doctor, the skill of a surgeon, the skill of an engineer, the skill of a lawyer. Those are internal. Those are acquired or developed, and it cannot be transferred from one person to another. And in the external good, there are some personal goods which are transferable. Which are the external, personal, transferable good? Personal is nothing but internal only, but there are personal goods which can be transferable. For example, goodwill of a business. What is goodwill of a business? If I am starting a business, through my services and through my reputation and product, I have acquired the confidence of the consumers. So even if I am going to transfer the ownership of the company, of the product which is manufacturing, to another person, the same product will be sold by the another owner, right? But the reputation as well as the trust that I have gained through my business can be transferred to another person. So it is an external but personal and transferable good. So this is the basic qualification of goods based on the transferability according to Marshall. I hope you got the concepts. Based on the consumption, the goods can be classified into consumer goods and producer goods. What are consumer goods? Those goods from which consumer directly derives satisfaction. If I am consuming that good, I derive satisfaction directly from the same good. Those goods can be considered as consumer goods. It is also called as first order goods. For example, food, cloth, everything. If I am consuming directly from those goods, I am getting satisfaction. So those are called as first order goods. Producer goods. The second category is producer goods. There might be a chance of confusion between producer goods and consumer goods, because producer goods are coming in the first, but they are not the first order goods. First order goods are nothing but from the same good we are directly deriving the satisfaction. So make sure that you are not confused with the first order goods and second order goods. Consumer goods are first order goods. Producer goods are goods of second order or second order goods. Those goods that help to produce other goods can be considered as producer goods. For example, machines, raw materials, everything will be coming under producer goods, because they are not we are not deriving satisfaction from the same good, because while we are using a machine to manufacture some products, or when we are using the raw materials to manufacture some product, via that product we are getting some satisfaction, right? So those are second order goods, and they are helping to produce other goods or other consumer goods. Okay, so the second order goods are producer goods, the first order goods are consumer goods. Can a producer good and consumer can a good be producer good and consumer good simultaneously? Yes, it can be. See, we are considering good, water. When we are consuming water from our household for our household consumption, it can be considered as a consumer good, right? But when it is used in a manufacturing industry, it is used for producing another commodity, right? So the same good can be considered as a consumer good as well as a producer good when the situation changes. Coming to the fourth classification of goods, that is based on the durability. This is a simple classification. According to the durability, the goods are classified into monoperiod goods and polyperiod goods or durables. Monoperiod goods are nothing but it can be used only once to satisfy a need. For example, food items. Once it is consumed, it cannot be used again, right? So it is used only to satisfy only once to satisfy a need, and they cease to exist once their use was over. For example, food items. And coming to the second category of this durable goods, the classification in the second category, polyperiod goods or durables are coming. It can be used for indefinite times or a long period. For example, machines, buildings, machinery, everything is coming under polyperiod goods or durables, because even if one time we are for a single time we are using, again it can be used for a long period, or indefinite times we can use, or multiple times we can use. But monoperiod goods, once we are using it, the utility is over and we cannot use it for another time. So those that is the classification based on the durability. Coming to the utility, we have discussed the meaning of the utility in the previous class also. We are recapitulating it. Utility is nothing but the capacity of a good that satisfies a human want. It is the capacity of a good that satisfies a human want. It can be defined as the want satisfying power of a good. Want satisfying power of a good. If ice cream is a product or a commodity or a good, if I am having I am feeling hungry, so the ability of ice cream to satisfy my hunger can be called as the utility of the ice cream. It is the power of a commodity to satisfy a human want. There are some different types of utility. Four types of utility are there. First one is form utility, second one is place utility, third one is time utility, and fourth one is possession utility. What is form utility? Form utility is nothing, the utility created by virtue of the change in the form of a good. For example, coffee beans we are harvesting and we are powdering it so that coffee powder is produced, right? So from coffee beans to coffee powder, the amount the value is increasing, or the one satisfying power of the commodity is increasing by change in the form from coffee beans to the coffee powder. So by change in the form of a good, greater utility is created. Thus that utility can be considered as form utility. Second one is place utility. By virtue of its position in an area, the commodity will be having different utilities. For example, apple. As we all know, apple is cultivated in the northern region, in temperate region, and it is not cultivated in the southern states of India. So since those are not available in the southern states, after production these are transported from the northern part of the India to the southern part of the India, where its availability is so less, so that the utility will be really compared to the northern area, the utility of the apples will be really high in the southern area, as the availability is really low in the southern area. So by virtue of its position in an area, the commodity will be having different utilities. Thus apple is getting higher utility in the southern area compared to the northern area, and that utility can be considered as the place utility. Third one is the time utility. Any time lag between the production and consumption of commodities creates utility for them. For example, how time utility is derived? It is via storage. There are certain commodities which will be abundant in the seasonal time, and in the off season time they are not produced, right? So by storage mechanisms, if we are preserving or we are conserving the commodities in to an off season period, when it is not available, it is having greater utility, right? It is not cultivated at that time. For example, there is a food grain which is not cultivated in a particular season, so the food grain on the on season we are procuring and we are conserving it in storage structures, and we are making it available during the off season period. So since the cultivation and availability is really less at the off season time, it is creating some utility. Because of the storage, it is gaining some utility, and the time lag between the production and consumption creates this utility, and this utility is termed as time utility. And the fourth one and the last one is possession utility. Utility which is created from the possession of transfer of ownership of the commodity. This is happening via buying and selling. As we have seen, if a rice producer is producing some rice, the utility derived from the commodity rice by the farmer will be lesser than the one who is not producing it, right? I am assume that I am a government employee. I am going to the market. I am purchasing the rice grain. Apart from the consumption requirements, the remaining rice will be sold by the farmer, right? So the utility derived from the farmer will be far less than that I am having, because I don't produce rice, so I will be having greater utility for the rice when I am purchasing from the market. So according to the transfer of ownership, some utility is created, and that can be called as possession utility. These are some of the characteristics of the utility. First one is utility is subjective. From person to person, the utility is changing, because if I am I love apples, but my friend doesn't like apple. So the utility derived from the same commodity differs from one person to another person. So utility is subjective, and utility is varying with the purpose. Okay. For example, water is a commodity, right? We are using for household consumption, cooking, cleaning our dishes. So in every cases, the same commodity is used, but in each cases, what happens? The utility derived from the commodity differs. So utility varies with the purpose, and utility varies with time. That is because possession like time utility we have already discussed, and utility varies with the ownership. That also we have discussed. Utility need not to be synonymous with pleasure. Utility is nothing. There is a misconception that utility is satisfaction which is derived, but it is not always, because it won't be synonymous with pleasure. Because see, if we are having some sickness, we are going to have some medicines, right? So medicines are the goods, we are consuming it. it will be bitter in taste. So while consuming it, we don't be having any pleasure from taking the medicines, but it will be reducing our sickness, so that it will be giving some utility to the consumer. So utility is not synonymous with pleasure, and utility does not mean satisfaction. Actually, utility is nothing but the ability of the commodity to satisfy a human want. So because if a commodity is satisfying me, it doesn't mean that it will satisfy each and every consumer. As we have already told, apple, I like apple, so that apple is having some one satisfying power to me, but it will be changing from one person to another person. So utility does not mean satisfaction. So these are the characteristics of the utility. Coming to the basic another concept, that is value and wealth. What is value? Value is the capacity of a good to command other things in exchange, or it is the rate of the exchangeability. In simpler concepts, there are some certain characteristics that a good should possess in order to get some value. What are all those characteristics? The good must possess some utility, that is, it has to be some power to satisfy a human want, and it should be scarce. Its supply should be less than the demand, right? And it should be transferable. So if a commodity is satisfying all these three characteristics, then the good is having value in the economic terms. Okay, so these are the attributes of value: utility, scarcity, and transferability. By definition, it is the capacity of a good to command other things in exchange, or the rate of the exchangeability. That is, if I am having a good, and economically speaking, if it is having a value, I can exchange it with another commodity because it is having some value, because it is having some utility, it is scarce, so that I can transfer it to another person. So these are the basic attributes of value. When the value, the economic value of a good is expressed in terms of money, it is known as price. Okay, when the value is expressed in terms of monetary terms, then it is known as price. Any commodity which is having value can be considered as wealth. It is called wealth. So any commodity which is having value in terms of economics, that is utility, scarcity, and transferability, one more attribute is coming, it can be called as wealth. There are some certain characteristics of wealth. Three of them are the basic attributes of value itself. That is, the wealth should possess utility, wealth should possess scarcity, so it should be satisfying a human want, it will be scarce in the nature, it will be transferable, and the commodity or the good has to be external to person. Okay, for these four characteristics should be satisfied in order to consider a commodity as wealth. So again, we are revising. Value is nothing but a commodity which is having utility, scarcity, and transferability in terms of economics. And if the value is expressed in the monetary terms, it is called as price. Any commodity which is having value along with another attribute known as external to person, then it can be considered as a wealth. Okay, which are the types of wealth? These are the major types of wealth, that is individual wealth, social wealth, national wealth, cosmopolitan wealth, and negative wealth. What are all individual wealth? All tangible and intangible possessions of the individuals can be considered as wealth. Okay, for example, land, building, vehicle, everything apart from the loans, that the loans has to be repaid. Apart from the loans has to be repaid by every individual, all tangible and intangible possessions of the individual can be considered as individual wealth. The second type is social wealth. It is collectively used by all people in a nation. It is also called as collective wealth or communal wealth. For example, road, river, park, government hospital services, everything is coming. So social wealth is collectively consumed, or community, it is consumed in a community basis. The third one is national wealth. National wealth is nothing but an aggregate of all individual wealth and collective wealth of the country. For example, mountain, river, everything is coming under national wealth. And the fourth one is cosmopolitan wealth. Those wealth which belong to the world but not to a single country can be considered as a cosmopolitan wealth. For example, ocean and the mineral resources which is residing in the ocean, all this can be considered as cosmopolitan wealth. It cannot be claimed by an individual country, so it is really available to all countries. Those wealth can be considered as cosmopolitan wealth. And the last one is negative wealth. Those are the exclusive debt owned by the individual and the nation. If we are taking loan from other persons, or the nation is borrowing some funds from other nations, then those can be considered as debts, and that can be considered as negative wealth. So these are the types of wealth. Coming to another basic concept, that is human wants. Each and every economic activity of the humans are directed towards the satisfaction of the of our wants, right? Our wants are unlimited, so that we have to satisfy our wants in order to live further. So every activity of the humans is directed towards the satisfaction of the human wants, and the goal of the economic activity itself is the fulfillment of the human wants. Coming to the basic characteristics of human wants. What are all the characteristics of human wants? First one is wants are unlimited. As we already told, our wants are unlimited. We will not be satisfied with satisfying a single want. Another want will reoccur. We have seen the subject matter of economics. Want, we are giving some effort, and the want will be satisfied. Again, another want will reoccur. So our wants are really unlimited. Even though the resources to satisfy the human wants are scarce in the nature, our wants are unlimited. Second thing is wants will reoccur. As we have already seen, if one want is satisfied, another want is again recurring, right? So if hunger is our want, if it is satisfied in the noon time, again in the next meal time it is recurring, right? If another one want is satisfied, another want will recur. Second thing is a want is suitable. Provided the resource availability, a given want will be suitable. That is, that given want at the point of time will be satisfied with adequate resources, or that can be totally fulfilled. So a given want is suitable. Another characteristic is wants are complementary. If we are needing a commodity, more often a want comes in a complementary fashion. That is, if we really need bread, of course there will be a demand for butter or jam, right? So when one want is occurring, another want is occurring along with that. So the wants are complementary. For example, if we have want for a tractor to plow our agricultural field, of course there is another want is coming, that is a driver has to be there, right? So a labor has to be hired. So more often the wants are coming in pairs. So wants can be considered as complementary. At times wants are competitive also. That is nothing but when we are having a want, it will be competitive in nature. If we are having only limited water availability, we have to use it for n number of uses, right? For our thirst, for cleaning, cooking, and there are many other wants are coming. So in order to satisfy all these wants, only a single commodity is available and it will be limited. So wants occur in a competitive fashion. And another one is wants have alternative means. If we are having a single want, it can be satisfied with different kind of products. Probably if I am having thirst, I can simply drink water, or I can use tender coconut water, or I can use Coca-Cola. Likewise, like the same want can be the same want is having alternative means to satisfy. So these are the basic characteristics of want. Coming to the classification of the wants, basically the wants are classified into three, that is necessaries, comforts, and luxuries. What is necessaries? Goods which are used to satisfy basic human wants are called as necessaries. Example, food, cloth, and shelter, right? See, without necessaries we cannot sustain our life. So those commodities, those goods which are used to satisfy our basic needs of human beings are considered as necessaries. The next thing is comforts. Comforts is nothing but which those commodities or those goods which comes in between necessaries and luxuries. And the third one is luxuries, goods which satisfy superfluous wants of the individual. These are neither essential for life nor increase the efficiency. See, luxuries, like if we want to transport, go from one place to another place, we can use the public transport system, or even we can buy a bike or a car for that. But when we are using a supercar for that, then that is a luxury. It is actually not actually essential for our life, or it is not increasing our efficiency for anything, but still it is considered as our superfluous want of an individual, so it can be considered as luxury. For comfort, we can use like fan. A fan in the room can be considered as a comfort. It is not a luxury, but in the summer season we might be needing it, and it is not a basic necessary, because without comforts also we can live. So comforts falls in between necessaries and luxuries. Necessaries are the goods without which we cannot survive, and luxuries are those goods which is coming under the superfluous consumption. These are actually not essential for our life, but we are just using it, and it is not increasing any efficiency also. The first classified thing that is necessaries is again further classified into three, that is necessaries of existence, necessaries of efficiency, and conventional necessaries. Necessaries of existence is nothing but those necessaries which are essential for living. Again here, food, cloth, and shelter is coming. Okay, without food, without cloth, and without shelter we can't survive, so those are necessaries of existence. The second category is necessaries of efficiency. These are essential in improving the efficiency of an individual, without which we can survive, but when these necessaries of efficiency are incorporated, our efficiency of the economic activity will be increasing. For example, in order to fulfill our hunger, anything we can use, but if we are consuming a nutritious diet, it will increase our efficiency, right? And for a student, he can study in any situations, but if we are providing a table and chair, the efficiency of the student, or the efficiency of the learning process of the student will be increasing, right? So those are the necessaries of efficiency, which is improving the efficiency of the individual while doing the economic activity. And the third one is conventional necessaries. At occasions we will be forced to follow some conventional procedures arises out of customs or habits. For example, when we are because in many of the communities, when their gatherings are there, we will be forced to do smoking, drinking, gambling, and all. It will be arising out of the customs or habits, and those are the conventional necessaries which cannot be avoided, because the community or the custom which is followed will be demanding it. So those are the conventional necessaries. So the basic classification of the wants are necessaries, comforts, and luxuries, and the necessaries is again classified into necessaries of existence, necessaries of efficiency, and conventional necessaries. So that's all about today's topic. Thank you. As we have already discussed, you can attempt the free mock test bundles which is available in AgriAddict website, as well as the application which is available in the Play Store. We will be regularly uploading the videos on social science stream, so feel free to comment down the topics that you really wanted explanation from AgriAddict platform. Thank you.